welcome back. My name is Gina and this is my little corner of YouTube where I share with you what I am up to in terms of my knitting. So I had a little bit of time today and I thought I would hop on and do a very quick, hopefully, catch up of what I have been up to over the month of December. And also I thought I would talk about what my upcoming plans are if I have time. So I will start with what I'm wearing. This was my first finished object of the new year. I started it in December. It is a little vest. And I'll put in some B-roll of me modeling it full length so that you can see that. This is a pattern by Lisa Meissner. She's a newer knitwear designer. Her handle or designer name is my.maane. I have no idea how she pronounces that. I think she's German, so definitely somewhere in Europe. And like I said, I tested this. This is called the White Stripes Slipover, and it has not been released yet. It will be coming out in mid-February. And this was a super quick intarsia knit. Sorry, I should have tucked in my shirt so that you could see it without the white peeping out there. It is knit from the top down. You knit the back and then you pick up stitches. Actually, you know what? I think I may have this on backwards. Hold please. Okay, crisis averted. I did have it on correctly. So you knit the back, pick up stitches, and knit your fronts. And so then you have two sections and you seam those up. It is done with intarsia, although the intarsia I found to be quite simple in this. I am not super experienced with intarsia. I've done a couple of projects here and there, and this is probably one of the easier intarsia projects I've done. So I definitely think this is a good place to start if you are interested in trying out that technique, and it has given me the confidence I need to try a much more involved intarsia project, which I will show you in my knitting plans. I knit this in Knit Picks palette, held double, to create like a, I guess that's a DK, right? Two fingering weight yarns held double. It is written for 2 held double, and I did have to make some modifications to this. I initially knit my whole back all the way down to, I think I was ready to start the ribbing, or may have even started the ribbing, and decided then I should measure my object and realized that it was so much longer than it was supposed to be. Like I had not even gotten to the ribbing. I think I hadn't finished all of the last gray stockinette section here. And so I got in touch with Lisa and asked for her suggestions, and I did a mid-project block at that point to see if blocking would change anything. It did not. It actually, I think everything pretty much stayed exactly the same. And the problem was my row gauge was super off. So like I hit stitch gauge exactly, but my row gauge was super, super off. I want to say the row gauge that you're supposed to be getting is like 27 rows, and I was maybe 23 rows per 4 inches. So very off. So what I ended up doing was ripping the entire back out. And remember, it was almost complete. So I ripped it completely out, started over, and the second time I made the size 4. So I followed the size 4 for my stitch counts, but I followed the size 1 pattern for all the row counts. And I think mine ended maybe a touch longer than it was supposed to be, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. I'm happy with it. I think it could stand to be just a hair shorter. Because it's not it's definitely not cropped on me. And sorry, I still haven't woven in my ends there because I keep meaning to ask Elisa if I have sewed it up to the right point or if it should be sewed up higher. But anyway, but yeah, it has been finished and blocked. I just need to weave in those ends once I'm certain about it. And I've actually already like worn it to work this way. I did tuck in my wove my strings there so they wouldn't pop out. But yeah, I think it's really cute and it's a very quick knit. So I finished it very quickly once I got started. I mean, it was like less than a week. And like I said, very easy intarsia. I had sort of impulse purchased one of Knit Pix's, I don't think they call them O Snap. I think that's the Delicue that are called the O Snap. But Knit Pix has these little project bags that have snaps all along the top. And what they're for is doing color work. So you can just like, you know, put all your different balls in there and then thread them up through the different snaps and like the different areas left by the snaps and keep them separated that way. And I did use that bag for my intarsia balls and I think it was really helpful. So yeah, really enjoyed that. And then behind me we have my second finished object of the year. This is the Calm Down Cardi by Lily Kate France or Lily Kate Makes. I made mine out of Provincial tweed. If you watched my last regular podcast, you might remember me talking about like I have this Provincial tweed. I'm trying to decide what to do with it. I was looking at doing like the book club Cardi. I was looking at doing I was auditioning some different patterns and could never quite decide on a pattern that I thought would be perfect for it. And Lily Kate France was doing, you know, an Advent coupon thing throughout the month of December. And this was one of the patterns that she had up for a reduced price one day. And I think one of her samples is done in red. And I was like, you know what? I think I could see myself wearing this Provincial tweed. And so yeah, so I bought that on a whim and then cast it on really quickly. Let me just pull this closer. There's not a whole lot going on in this cardigan. It's pretty simple, but it has this ribbed panel that comes down the shoulders. I believe it is a saddle shoulder construction. So like it's been a minute now, and I did not make notes or anything before I started recording this, but I believe you knit these saddles first and then you pick up and knit the back and then you pick up and knit the front and then join at the underarm, and the ribbed panel continues. So you are doing some ribbing here at the side that goes all the way to the bottom, and then you rib down the center of, is that showing? Down the center of the arm or the sleeve. This is quite oversized. Look how low the sleeve starts. A lot of people talked about that. Some people made adjustments because they were like, I'm not gonna be able to wear this under a coat, and I didn't want to be bothered with trying to figure any of that out. And so I just made this completely to pattern. I didn't add any short row bust starts or anything like that because I figured it's so oversized. And with the sleeve joining not happening until you get to this point, I was like, I don't know where anything is, so I'm not gonna mess with it. And I'm really happy with it. As I was working it, I was like, wow, Lily Kate Makes is just really such a great designer. This is my second pattern I've knit of hers, and I think I am going to be becoming a super fan. I just really appreciate her attention to detail. This button band is absolutely gorgeous, and so you cast on stitches down here and then you knit up slowly, eating up one stitch at a time. of the stitches that you've picked up, and she has you work short rows because there's a little, I don't know if you can really tell here, but there's a notch. So this kind of, if you're wearing it, pulls to each side. And then there are short rows up here. I think there's a short row worked here. There's some short row that happens in the back in order to make this lay nice and flat. So just like such care with the details in order to get a really nice fitting garment. And I really, really appreciate that. So, yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I'll have put some pictures up here so you can kind of see what it looks like modeled. The yarn is Knit Picks Provincial Tweed in the color, wow, it's my favorite color of these, and I'm blanking on Candy Apple. Yeah, that's the name of it. I think it's just such a gorgeous red. I really like it on me. To me, it seems like it's a pretty cool toned red, which is why I like it. It is, the Provincial tweed is a tweed that is not super well incorporated. So a lot of the tweedy bits, the neps are right on top, and I've actually picked off a lot of them and continue to pick them off, as the neps present themselves. Some people don't like it, but I really, I don't mind that. And I think Provincial tweed is such a nice feeling yarn, that I'm willing to deal with that. It's so soft. It is next to skin soft, and it's so nice to work with. It almost feels like it has like a wet feeling that I associate with alpaca, but it doesn't have any alpaca. It's just, superwash merino and the Donegal tweed, I think. So yeah, really, really enjoyed this one, working on it. I think I didn't, like I said, didn't make any notes before I started this, so I'm not sure how long it was on my needles. Definitely not more than a month. I started it at some point in December, and finished it that first week of January. Yeah, so there's that. And then let me grab another thing that I worked on, little finished object. Can you tell what this is? People who are Polish or have Polish ancestry, hopefully. That looks a little familiar, and I'm not sure if it should be hung like this, or like this, but I hung mine horizontally. This is a little pierogi Christmas ornament. I don't remember the name of the designer. I actually just came across her YouTube right before Christmas and was watching it and subscribed. She had a lot of neat projects, and she had just finished a really challenging colorwork sweater. Anyway, and she talked about having made these, and so I went to the Ravelry link and downloaded the free pattern to make this, and I'll show you a picture. I did a couple of more of these and remembered to, before I sewed them up, to put on eyes so that my pierogies could have a little face. So I'll put a picture up there. I think that is super cute. I can't show you the ones with eyes because we had some Yinzer family who were home with us, and I sent the two with eyes off with them to be Christmas decorations. Yeah, so those were really fun. That is a super cute, super fun little project. It takes hardly any yarn at all. I used Knit Picks Stroll that was just like some bare scraps that I had left over, and it just takes just a few yards of that to make, and like under an hour, and you can have that done. And I think it's super cute, would make great gifts for anybody who likes to eat pierogies. Okay, next up we have an almost finished object. The Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter. Aw, do you hear my kitty meowing outside the door? Yeah. Oh, it looks really cute. Super cute. So this would be done, except that I do not have buttons for it yet. So I have a pretty big button collection, because I sewed before I knit, and so I have been collecting old buttons at thrift stores and garage sales and all sorts of things for years and years and years. And so quite an extensive collection, but this needs a pretty large button. I think I determined it needs like a 7/8 inch button. So I did not have any that I liked. And so I'm having to wait for some to come in the mail. I just ordered some from the Evil A, and yeah, hopefully they work. They're cute, like wooden with laser cut flower detail in them, starish flower. I think it'll go well with the Alpine Bloom. Sorry, stop there to get up and see what that noise was I heard outside. Just trucks rumbling past. Yeah, so what to say about this one? I used Knit Picks Upcycle Alpaca worsted weight. So the pattern is confusing for some reason. It calls for, like, it's categorized as a bulky weight pattern, but then if you actually look at the suggested yarns, one of them is Wool of the Andes worsted, and from Knit Picks. And so I was going to use Wool of the Andes and started looking through my stash, and I know I have somewhere a bag with just some smaller amounts of Wool of the Andes, and that's what I was looking for. I did not find the bag that I was looking for, but I did find this Upcycle Alpaca. This was like a yarn they introduced, I want to say, in the big sale of 2020, and they introduced it that year. It was leftovers, you know, they were upcycling leftover bits of alpaca into this yarn, and I bought a bunch of it the year that it came out, and then they ended up having it around for at least 2 years. It might have even been still like a few random colorways of it even in the last couple of years that Knit Picks has had. But anyway, I got a bunch when it first came out. For the price, I think it was really good. I want to say this was maybe $3 a ball when I got it. At most, it was $5 a ball. And then they had it listed as regularly priced for $10. Like, I don't think anybody who paid attention to Knit Picks' prices ever paid that much. But yeah, I got mine when it was first released during the big sale. So I got a really good price on it. I have made several garments with it, and I like it. I think it wears pretty well. It's a little pilly, but wears pretty well. The only thing is that the different colorways were very inconsistent. So I made my husband a Colorwork sweater in it, and so there was a bunch of colors involved, and it was very frustrating because some of the colorways were literally like maybe half the weight of the others. And so it really, yeah, didn't always make the color work look great. So that's my big gripe with it, but it's a non-superwash. So I was able to needle felt this, and I made a recording. I made some video of me as I was going through the process of needle felting this, and I'll get that put together and uploaded to Instagram, or maybe do it as like a short on YouTube in case anybody's interested. I just like needle felting. It's faster for me than the crochet method. So I like to, what I did first was go and sew a line of stitching because I'm just paranoid. So I just did a little zigzag stitch. See if you can see it there in the dark yarn. Zigzag stitch on my sewing machine, and then took it and needle felted my steek, and then cut my steek. And I felt pretty good about this working out because I've needle felted another garment that I made out of the Upcycle Alpaca. So I knew it would felt pretty well, and yeah, I think it's gonna be super cute once I get those buttons put on. I did add a lot of length to this, so it's meant to be like quite cropped, and like in the model, the flowers start like right under the bust. They would probably be kind of on the bust for me. And so I added 4 rows before I started following the other instructions, 4 rows after finishing the color work. And then I also added bust row shaping, or short row shaping for the bust, in order to create more space. So if you've been here very long, you know that I like to insert those short rows when I can, and since we have a plain top up here, this is very convenient. So I just did that on each side separately, and I think it did help. So mine hangs pretty evenly from front to back, and it would definitely not be doing that. This did come out a little longer than I had anticipated, probably because my yarn stretched, and I just didn't really, I did not do a true gauge swatch and wash it and all of that. I just cast it on and went with it, and that's okay. I spent maybe a week on this, so it was on and off the needles very quickly. I did do it calls for a tubular cast on, and I actually did it. I have not done a tubular cast on in a while, and I had it in my head that it was super hard and complicated. And I don't know if I followed a different set of directions this time or what, but I was like, wow, this is so easy. I don't know why I had built it up in my head that it was going to be so hard. Now, there were several steps, but it was all super easy, super easy, way easier than a tubular bind off or something. So not that that's super hard either, but yeah, I was just like, I need to remember to do this in the future when it is called for. All right, next up, some works in progress. So I showed you this one in November, and I have made some good progress on it. And that is my husband's Henley, Forester Henley is what it's called. This is an Alicia Plummer pattern. It has a welt in the back and the front, and last night I finally got motivated and knit, actually this is my second sleeve, knit my second sleeve because I needed my needles. I wanted my size 7 good needles for using in another project, and so I had to get them off of this project. So all of this needs now is the collar and to have in sewn in and all of that, and then it will be done. This was not my favorite project to work. Everything is sort of, in some places things are given in rows, like row counts, and in some places they're given in measurements. And that can be tricky if your row gauge is off from the pattern gauge. And I don't even know what my row gauge is on this, but I suspect it's off because I had to do a bunch of rapid decreases at the end of my sleeve. I wasn't even like, she just says like, do, you know, a decrease round every so many rounds for your size. And so I just blindly followed that and then realized, how long is the sleeve supposed to be? And like, she doesn't say knit to X inches. Like I had to look in the schematic to see how long the sleeve was supposed to be. And anyway, and so I realized, oh, because I made my husband try it on, and I was like, wow, that sleeves looks pretty long on him. You know, I'm gonna have to wrap this up quickly, get the rest of these decreases out, and yeah, and that was when I realized, you know, that there were absolutely no dimension instructions given on like you're knitting the sleeve to 20 inches, shorten if you need to, lengthen if you need to. It was just do these decreases and now do the ribbing. And anyway, so that was not my favorite. I think something got messed up in the either my front or my back section, because there was one side, this is knit bottom up, you split for the sleeves, you knit one side up, and then you knit the other side up, and then you come and you knit the back side. And then you seam it, I think 3 needle bind off or something. It's been too long since I did this now. 3 needle bind off at the top to put those together. And so, I think something might have gotten messed up. Like I missed I don't know. I don't know what happened. My fronts looked like they were pretty well, like that they were the same height. But one of my fronts didn't seem like it was matching up with its back, if that makes sense. But my fronts both looked like they were the same height. So I don't know if something went wrong with the short rows in one place or another. I don't know. I don't know what I did, but I'm over it and just want this to be done. So yeah, I'm gonna get that collar on. I think it's gonna be wearable either way. And this welt was not fun to do. I don't I like the way welts look. I don't like actually working them though. And I'm making this in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Superwash. I think the colorway is Amethyst. It's a really nice, very dark purple. Okay, so hopefully that one will be done in the next week or so. Okay, and then a project which has been giving me all sorts of grief through no fault of the pattern, and that is the Shire Mitts. Is that not so cute? It's a little hobbit door, in case you can't tell. And we have smoke and a tree. I haven't got my thumb done yet. Here's the back side. I'm knitting this for Sarah Kelly of Great Owl Knits. She has this great little cuff detail that she adds where you can have that cuff as extra, or you can make it longer, whichever one you want. And this is how far I am on my second mitt. Got a long ways to go on it. Like I said, this one's given me all kinds of grief. I knit basically almost the entire mitt and then decided it was so long. It was ridiculously long and really, really big too. And so I was like, you know what, I should check my gauge. And it was really off, not just a little off, it was a lot off. And so I then went on a mad hunt trying to find, I was using size 1.5 needles when it was super off. And so I was like, I know I have a 0 around here somewhere, because I got it when I very first started doing sock knitting, and basically hardly ever used it after the first time because I was such a tight knitter in those days that I knit, I made like cardboard when I knit on a size 0 needle. I only found one size 0 needle. It was a collage needle, which I used to love, but that was back when I was a baby knitter. And I do not love those cords anymore. I found it horrible to use. And so then I ended up finally ordering a new Haya size 0 needle with a nice long cord. So that's what I have on here, nice and pointy. I'm finding these needles to be really nice, so much better than the collage ones that I was working with. I just couldn't bear to rip the whole thing out, so I ripped this all the way back to the second Latvian braid. I figured the cuff could be a little bit bigger, that wouldn't be too bad, and then knit this in the size 0. And that is a much better, more normal hand-sized mitten. So yeah, this one, yeah, so it's just continued to be one of those comedies of errors though. So I knit this on the larger size needles, and then what did I do? I had knit a good half of the cuff, and then I realized, oh, I'm supposed to be holding my green as the dominant color in this one, holding my green in the left hand in order to match what I had done on this one. I had knit it over here with the cream colored, the lighter colored held dominant, and so I had to rip that out and redo that. Then I got up here and I was knitting on the mitten and got quite a few rows, not a ton, but like 10 maybe rows in it, and realized I had put my thumb gusset in the wrong place, and so I had to rip it out again. Anyway, I'm kind of over these at this point. I need to work on these and just get them done. Again, no fault of the pattern at all. Sarah's patterns are always great. It's just I have some kind of a mental block about these mittens and just need to get them off my needles. I think they're becoming one of those cursed objects. I'm knitting this in Knit Picks palette in, oh, I'm gonna be lying, whatever I tell you. Knit Picks palette in, my light color is Hair Heather and the dark color is Rainforest Heather. Let's see if that shows up. So both of those, so this is Hair Heather and the green is Rainforest Heather. Really nice colors, really nice pattern. I'm just over it. Okay, and I have one I wanted to show you because I realized this week, I think I'm almost done with this. This is my Umbria top. I don't know if anybody remembers this. I started it in like March and have been slowly, steadily working on it since March. It is not a project that has brought me joy. It's just been kind of a pain to work on, and so I finally just decided to make it my church knitting. I take this with me and I just knit however much I get done at church, slowly but surely, and hopefully, I'm pretty sure this will definitely be done in time for warm weather this spring. So that is getting very close. It just really needs a few more rows and then I can start on the hem. And I am planning to seam that up, and so I didn't put in any buttonholes in it. I'll just seam it up and then sew on buttons on top of it because I'm never gonna wear it unbuttoned. But yeah, that's the Umbria Summer top by Cookie the Knitter. Let's see, I have one more whip, and that is the Book Club cardigan. Oh man, it looks so good. Whenever I get to the right side, I always spend a little minute there looking at it. I love those cables. All right, I am knitting this in Knit Picks Woodland Tweed, which is actually their yarn of the month this month, one of them. So it's 20% off if you wanted to hop out and get yourself some. This is my first time working with this yarn. I picked it up in the big sale because I think it must have been one of their special ones that they offered for on 246 day. It was probably $6 a skein. And so I got a sweaters quantity, and let's see. I think my little nugget here has a tag in it. It is an Aran weight, and the color that I'm using is Thumper Heather. And it is 80% merino wool, 15% baby alpaca, and 5% viscose. Those would be the little nibs in it. I am loving this yarn. It is so soft. I haven't worn anything made from it yet, so I don't know how it's gonna feel next to skin, but I anticipate it will feel great. The alpaca content is not super high, and I'm not alpaca sensitive anyway, except kind of across my forehead is the place where I feel it the most. So I don't anticipate having any issues with this. Yeah, I'm just super happy with how it's coming out. I think it's the perfect yarn at this point. I feel like this is the perfect yarn for this. This is why I wanted my size 7 needles out of that other project. These are my Knit Pro Mindfulness needles, and they just have a really nice taper to them, and they're not hurdy pointy, but they are pointy. So they're good for cables. I have been finding this pattern really easy. I was kind of worried that it would be complicated and just a lot, but it's been like, these cables are actually really easy. It is not one of those where everything's going different directions and you really have to focus. It's pretty easy now that everything is set. So I knock on wood, you know, hopefully I didn't just curse myself and I end up making a bunch of stupid mistakes, but so far I'm loving this. I think I've worked on this 3 days, and have gotten that progress. So very happy with that. Okay, so I said that I would talk about my plans. I think I have a little bit of time to do that. Sorry for all the leaning around. I just this week ordered yarn to make a sweater that I may regret, not the sweater, I may regret deciding to take the plunge on this, but this is a sweater that I have wanted to make forever since I first saw it. It is called a fine sweater. Can you see? And here is the designer. This was really it's Yuji, maybe. Sorry, I don't know how she pronounces her name, or they. I don't know the gender of this person, but they, I think they just made this as a one-off. Like they made it, like they say that actually, that the highlighted size is the one that they made, and they kind of extrapolated the other sizes. So this is not a paid pattern. This is free. It's called a fine sweater if you want to go download yourself a copy of it. And yeah, it's just got the little dog who says it's fine, everything's fine, from the meme, sitting there, and it's the sweater for our times, right? Yeah, so just after the last couple of weeks and everything that has gone on, I don't know, I know it's dumb, but this is kind of like my way of knitting back at the universe, I guess, or using my knitting to kind of feel like I'm making a statement with my yarn. So yeah, I ordered, Knit Picks had a flash sale on Wool of the Andes. And so I decided to, yeah, take that opportunity to order enough yarn in Wool of the Andes colorways to make the sweater. There were a lot of people, or a number of people, who ended up making a vest version. They just like stopped right after they did the body, and that was cute. And so I may do that. I'm gonna play that part by ear and see how sick I am of the intarsia. So this was what I was saying. You know, now that I've done a little intarsia, I am considering doing an absolutely bonkers intarsia project. So this will not be simple, but I'm hoping that I can do it. I'm hoping that my anger can pull me through this process. So I am tentatively excited about that. It will be a challenge. And like I said, I have admired the sweater forever, so it feels good to finally be taking the plunge. I also bought some extra Wool of the Andes balls because I needed to get to free shipping. You know how that is. So I threw a few extra balls in, and I am going to use those. I think I'm going to do the sailor slippers, the viral sailor slippers that everybody's making. So I'm going to jump on the bandwagon, and try out the felting. I've wanted to make felted slippers for a while, so it's not just, I'm not totally bandwagoning, but I was gonna make I don't know, I think it's a Santa's Garn pattern that somebody translated, and it's like the double toffler something slippers, and you knit them as like a long piece, and then you tuck one of them into the other, kind of like the muscle burrow, I guess, only in slipper form. And so I was going to make those once, but I didn't have the yarn that it called for, and so I was like trying to find a substitute that I had on hand, and you know, it's just hard when you're doing something you've never done before and you don't have the materials, so you're experimenting in a lot of different ways. But a number of people have made the sailor slippers using Wool of the Andes held double, so I think I should be pretty safe to do that. And then in other plans, I have been talking about doing a Storn Away for a while, the Stornoway Tee. I bought that pattern when it was on sale, and I'm gonna use the Tee pattern to work long sleeves because I wanted the DK version and not the heavier weight version. So I have accumulated some Knit Picks woolen cotton that I'm going to use to do that, and then I bought Knit Pearl Girl's new really pretty cabled pullover that she released literally the last day of the year. I'm not sure how you say the name. It looks kind of like Guinevere except missing some vowels. So Guinevere is what it kind of looks like. But yeah, I'll put a picture up. It's really, really pretty. And it just calls for a single strand of a worsted yarn. So I have a number of different sweater quantities. In fact, I might have some of that woodland yarn that was released. Knit Picks called it Whoopsland. It was some kind of a seconds run. It was supposed to be like the woodland tweed, but something didn't come out right. They look really good to me, so I'm not sure what the error was. I think I have a sweaters quantity of that I might use for that. So those are some upcoming plans. I also have the Winnie top pattern. I'm pointing over here because this is Lily Kate Makes. I have that Winnie top pattern, and I do need to start on that sometime in the winter so that I have it ready to wear in the early spring when it's still kind of cold here, because I'm going to be using an alpaca lace weight yarn held double for that. So that is what I am up to. I hope that you've been knitting on something that is bringing you joy, and I will see you next time. Bye.